Once again, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us to our New Markets Opportunity webinar series. Again, we are featuring Chase for Business, and they're going to be sharing with us some very exciting information regarding a new initiative that they're undertaking. It is a mentorship program for minority businesses, and momentarily, we'll be joined by a representative from Chase, and they're going to explain the details as to how you participate and everything that you need to know. It is truly a wonderful program. But before we get started with the Chase for Business program, just want to remind everyone again of our upcoming procurement fair on April 16th. We will be meeting at the Wilmington Library, and at the procurement fair, we will have representation from private industry, the federal government, the state government, a whole bunch of different organizations, and they're going to be explaining best practices for you to conduct business with them. And we'll be sharing information about how you can participate and register for that session. We'll be sharing details as to who's going to be there, who you are expected to hear from. All of that information will be sent to you at a subsequent date. At this time, I would like to introduce Jennifer Pilcher. She is a business opportunity specialist now with the U.S. Small Business Administration. She's one of our strategic partners. And one of the things that we like to do is educate businesses on how to do business with the federal government. And she has some upcoming workshops that we think that are going to be beneficial to you if you have any aspirations as far as doing business with the federal government. So Jennifer, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Yes, my name is Jennifer Pilcher. I work here in Delaware for the U.S. Small Business Administration, and my focus is helping small businesses do business with the federal government. So the first thing I want to do, and I'm going to add to the chat when I'm done talking here today, is invite you to visit our website and visit it regularly. It's sba.gov/DE. That's sba.gov/DE. And on that website, you'll see that we have a calendar of events with some upcoming webinars. We have a lot of contracting related webinars just at all times rotating through. We're coming up on Women's History Month, so we have some women focused programming coming up in March. I want to flag you to that as well. So what SBA does to help small businesses gain a footing with federal government contracting is we administer several small business certification programs. Those programs give small businesses a competitive edge when you're competing for federal government contracts. Now, you may or may not be aware that the federal government is the largest buyer of goods and services in the world. Every year, we spend billions and billions of dollars. The last year, we have data for $600 billion plus spent by the federal government. And Congress goals the federal government to spend 23% of the dollars spent stateside with small business. Now, Congress also goals the federal government to spend a certain amount of money every year with each of the businesses that hold these SBA certifications. So the certification programs are the Women-Owned Small Business, Economically Disadvantaged Women-Owned Small Business Program, the 8A Business Development Program. That program is for socially and economically disadvantaged business owners. We also have the Hub Zone Program, the Historically Underutilized Business Zone Program. That is a certification for businesses that are located in and employ from areas of high unemployment and low income. And we have the Vet Cert program. That is a program for veteran-owned small businesses. The VA does do some set-asides for veteran-owned, and then more broadly, the federal government is goal was spending 3% of the dollars that it spends stateside with service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. So if you are interested in understanding the basics of doing business with the federal government, we have a webinar on that. We have a webinar coming up on Thursday on how to use the Federal Procurement Data System. The Federal Procurement Data System is a publicly available database that you can think of like the federal government's checkbook register. The federal government records everything it's bought, who it bought it from, what they paid for it, and when the contract is going to be up for bid next on that database. That's a database that you'll want to come to understand so that you can build a strategy around your outreach to the federal government. Now, I mentioned that how SBA helps small businesses get that competitive edge is with those certification programs. Those certifications are very important for small businesses. But what some small businesses who do get certified fail to understand is that whether you're certified or not, the key to success in doing business with the federal government is marketing yourself. Because as you can imagine, those federal buyers are first and foremost tasked with spending taxpayer dollars wisely. So they are going to want to understand that you have the capability to do the work. And then secondarily, they are gold to do business with these businesses that have certain of these certifications. So if you have that certification, you come in as a secondary matter, absolutely, and let those buyers know that you have it. Using this federal procurement data system will let you identify the individual human being buyer who's going to be putting that contract up for bid, say 6 months, a year from now, that you can get in touch with them and let that buyer know who you are, let them know what specific contract you're interested in, and let them know what certifications you have. You know, everyone has a limited bandwidth. You've got to be strategic about how you're spending your time and your effort. And most certainly small business falls into that limited bandwidth category oftentimes. There's a lot of money to be made in federal government contracting. And what you want to do is you want to be very strategic about which agencies you're marketing yourself to. Are these the agencies that in fact buy what you're selling when you go after these contracts? So full circle, I want you to visit our website. I'm also going to put my contact information in the chat here. The website is sba.gov/DE. Check out that calendar, register for these trainings as they come up. That calendar is updated regularly. And reach out to me. I'm going to put my email here if you have any questions, anything that I can connect you with regard to federal government contracting. I would love to be a resource for you. Thank you.
And I thank you, Jen, as well, too. I think one of the things that we are planning to do a little bit later on is because you are offering a bunch of valuable information about certifications and how that certification will help enhance a small business's opportunity to grow their business through federal contracting. We probably want to feature you on one of our monthly webinar series where you go through just a little bit more in detail some of the certifications. And for those of you who are not certified to do business with the federal government, prior to my involvement here at True Access Capital, I used to work for the Small Business Administration. I was the deputy district director there. And while there, one of the 8A companies, company that received 8A certification from the Small Business Administration, I was instrumental in helping that company grow. And literally within the first 8 months of their operation, this company managed to sign in excess of $8.5 million in contracts with the federal government to do business with them. And we will talk about how these certifications help to enhance your business's ability to secure these types of contracting opportunities. And I will tell you the certifications definitely work. But not only with the certification program with the federal government, you also have state certifications, and the state certification can help you prominently as well. I'd like to introduce at this point in time my partner in crime, Chris Fullman. He is the program manager for the New Markets Opportunity Program. And Chris is going to give us some opening remarks, and then we'll continue on with the presentation. Chris, unmute yourself.
All right. Thank you, John. And thank you, everybody, for participating today in our New Markets Opportunity Program webinar series. If this is your first time, welcome. This is a series that we've put together to basically keep small businesses informed and also introduce them to some of these purchasers and some of the different opportunities that are available through procurement and private industry. Today, we're pleasure to, before I get into that, we're actually, the New Markets Opportunities Program is going to be a program where we really work with small businesses to handhold them through the process of procurement, helping them through the certification process, helping them to meet with the buyers, helping them to understand what the organizations or companies may be purchasing. And we're going to be recruiting for that at our procurement fair. So if in fact this seems like something you may be interested in, keep your eyes open. We will also be sending out information via email for everyone who participated in the webinar series. If in fact you may be interested in the New Markets program as well, you will have the opportunity to register then. So as I was saying, today we are fortunate to have Nathan McCann, who is the Vice President and Senior Business Consultant for Chase for Business. He's here today to talk to us a little bit about their Minority Entrepreneurs Program, which is focused on bringing resources and access to minority entrepreneurs and small businesses. So with no further ado, I want to introduce Nathan from JP Morgan.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks, John, for having me today. Welcome all who's on this webinar today. I'm here from JP Morgan Chase. Our division is actually called the Diverse Business Segment at Chase. We do coaching, mentorship is a coaching and mentorship program. A little bit about myself. I've been in the financial services industry for about 25 years. I've worked as a commercial banker, as a business banker, public finance officer. I've also worked for CDFI as a credit officer. So I understand the work that True Access does. Is very important in our community that we have CDFIs in our community. So I understand what they do, and I understand also the other side of a traditional bank. John, you can advance the slide.
Okay.
So Chase has a racial equity commitment. It has 4 pillars: home ownership, affordable housing, entrepreneurship, and financial health. I work for the Diverse Business Segment. We're under the pillar of entrepreneurship. We do mentoring and coaching to small businesses. We also deploy educational resources. We work with organizations that have the same goal as we do, is to educate small businesses. And really what my goal is to help businesses become profitable. Without profitability, you cannot be sustainable. So that's one of the things in my coaching that I really stress to businesses is your business profitable? Or how can you get to profitability? John, you can advance the next slide. There is 5 areas of mentorship in which we coach. Access to capital. Access to capital is really positioning your business to be able to get credit at any bank, at a CDFI, at a traditional bank. It also goes into knowing your numbers, knowing what's on the income statement, knowing what's on the balance sheet, how to read those statements, and then also starting to manage your business from the numbers. Everything really goes back to the numbers. Navigating cash flow is money management, managing your cash flow, managing your receivables, managing your payables, and making sure you always are at a positive cash flow position in your business. Business development is really looking at your sales and marketing funnels. How are you showing up in your community, and how do you want to market in your community? Operational management examines standard operating procedures, leadership skills, and hiring practices. And then the last area of mentorship is building a team of trusted advisors. Who's on that team? Who's on your bail team? Do you have a banker? Do you have an accountant? Do you have an insurance professional or a legal professional? Do you need a advisory board? Who are those people that are helping you in your business? John, you can advance the slide. So the program eligibility, you need to have 2 years in business. So we don't focus in on startups. There are organizations that do focus on startups, like the Small Business Development Centers. They do a great job here, especially the one here in Delaware. So we like to see a business 2 years in business with at least $100,000 in revenues. So there is some flexibility in that. And when I mean there's some flexibility in that, it's really a one-on-one conversation with me and the business owner. If you've been in business for 5 years and you're right at that, maybe 80,000, 90,000, we should have a talk. If you have been in business for 1 year and you're over that threshold, maybe you should talk to me as well. So there are some flexibilities in the revenue. The program is a totally free service. It's a program, won't cost a business owner anything. The only investment that you're making is an investment in your time. So if you have the time, I have the time to coach you and mentor you. The time commitment is really only twice a month, and I can stay with you. You can stay in the program between 3 and 5 months before I graduate you. So it's really like having an executive coach for free. And we have in the Philadelphia area, we have graduated over 150 business owners since January 2023. And we're starting to pick up some momentum in Wilmington in Delaware. So I would like to see a lot more people in Delaware join this program. And again, it's free. John, you can advance the slide.
Before we go on, I just want to just announce to the audience, we want to keep this as interactive as possible. And if you have any questions whatsoever, just type it in the chat box, and my colleague Chris will interrupt and make sure that your questions are addressed. But before we move on, I want to go back to the previous slide for a minute, and we're talking about areas of mentorship, and these are the primary functions here. I do know that under, for example, access to capital, on your website, you list a whole bunch of different subcategories that fall underneath these areas. Can you give the audience some perspective on what those subcategories are and what the expectation should be relative to those subcategories?
Sure, John. Thank you. So access to capital, some of the subcategories would be really looking at your position, how you're positioned right now to get capital. So we're looking at some of the fundamentals too. Looking and examining your personal credit, your business credit situation. So we're also looking at helping you to look at your financial statements differently than what you have looked at it before. You may have an accountant right now, but are you spending enough time with that accountant? Is that accountant really is explaining to you what is going on in your financial statements? Now, from a financial standpoint, from a banking standpoint, I am not an accountant. However, it's different when it comes to from a banking standpoint. So we're also coaching those financial indicators that banks look at, that owners should know, so they can position their business a little bit better. Navigating cash flow is really looking at, how to do a cash flow analysis on your business, looking at your payables, and looking at really your competition, what your competition is doing out there. So there's a competitive analysis that we also coach when it comes to navigating cash flow. Some of the other subcategories for business development would be digital marketing. How are you showing up digitally? A lot of a lot of businesses nowadays, they basically market their business from a digital standpoint. So what are those digital channels are you using? How is your website compliant? Operational management, again, we're looking at leadership skills. We're looking at hiring practices. We're looking at really asking you, how do you want your business to operate if you're not present? So we take a deep dive into the business. Some things that, and it's really predicated on the business owner. What is your goal? And I'll give you an example. I have a gentleman that joined our program. He's from Delaware, has a business in Delaware as a nonprofit. Came to me and he said he wants to expand his business, but he's not sure if he can expand his business. And he wanted to buy a building. He didn't know what the process would be. So he joined our program. We went through our program. He applied for a loan to buy a building. He was in the position to purchase a building. He just didn't know from his financial statements and from the equity in his business if he could do that. So he was in the position to do that. Chase was not able to do the loan because of the type of loan, but then we referred him to Sinair, and Sinair was able to execute his loan. So he was able to buy a building. So it depends on what the owner's goals are with our program. So it's not just what we want to coach you on, it's what you want to learn.
So let me ask another follow-on question, and then I see that there were some questions asked in the chat, and I'll allow Chris to get to those after this one. With respect to the mentorship and the curriculum under this particular program, is it classroom primarily? You mentioned that you will meet on a normal basis twice a month. Is that in the classroom or is it one-on-one mentorship?
It's one-on-one mentorship. So it's not a cohort, it's one-on-one. So we really can get into, the pain points of the business on a one-on-one basis.
Chris, can you
Yep. So the first question that we have in the chat is, can sole proprietors participate in this program?
Oh, yes, sole proprietors can. Structure does matter. And we can, always talk about when is a good time to change your business structure from a sole proprietor to maybe go to an LLC or S corp. So structure of the business does matter, but we do accept sole proprietorships.
Got you. And the next question is, are nonprofits eligible to participate in the program?
Yes, I do have I have experience in the nonprofit world. I do have a few nonprofits in my book right now. And I have a lot of experience in nonprofits. I worked in the city of Camden for 15 years. And if anybody know anything about Camden, Camden is known for many nonprofits in that particular city. So, yes.
So just to kind of further clarify a little bit, is that you accept some nonprofits, or is it just as open for nonprofits as it is for for-profit businesses?
It's open just for it depends on, really, I would say it depends on, um for me, I take in nonprofits, but I can't speak for other consultants. There are there are 49 other people across the country that do the same thing that I do. But from my background and my experience, I do accept nonprofits into my program and into my program as far as mentorship. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That's it for the questions for now, John.
Okay, let's continue.
Just a mentorship?
Okay. So yes, this is the last.
Did you want to reiterate this again?
Yeah, I can. So it's 2 years in business, $100,000 in revenues. But like I said, there's some flexibility with that. So it's worth a conversation with me, as far as, if your business would be eligible for this program. Um, Again, the program is free. It's a free service. It's like having an executive coach for free. And I've spoken to a lot of business owners, since I started with Chase, and I've been with Chase for 2 years. Our program has been in existence for 3 years. Um, and I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of small business owners say they spent thousands of dollars for coaches. So, to have a coach for up to 5 months for free, where you can really ask them anything you want and remember, I coach from a financial perspective. No, I don't coach, I'm not an industry expert. So I'm coaching from a financial perspective. Now, I am diverse in some industries, but not all industries. Also, we have in Philadelphia area, we have graduated over 150 small business owners since January of 2023. Now, Chase also has a lot of events, and as a small business owner, any business owner could, um, come to one of these events. Like, for example, we're having a big event in May in Philadelphia. But if you're a part of this program, you're definitely going to get an invitation. And a lot of times these events are educational events. And one of the other things, um, they do is they really celebrate their entrepreneurs and their small business owners. So I do have a small business owner who went through our program who is going to be spotlighted, in ads in this area, in the Philadelphia area. Um, and they came to me because they wanted to learn more about their numbers so they can raise money and be in a better position. And this is a $3 million business that wanted to know, I want to understand my numbers better. Um, and it's a brand that, you'll hear more about. It's called Kin Apparel. So they do satin lining hoodies, and they're becoming very popular in this area. So look out for those spots. For me, I always look out for my mentees, to find opportunities for them as well. Um, John, can we go to the next slide?
Yeah, but before we go into the next slide, I do have a couple of questions. Number one, I would imagine that small business participation in the program would benefit these firms immensely, not only from the perspective of knowledge gained from participation, but perhaps some side benefits such as a mentor looking for financial assistance. I would imagine because they participated in this program that they will have major consideration coming from you. Perhaps another benefit would be just having that firm perhaps be considered for future small business opportunities. I know that Chase for Business have an aggressive supplier diversity program. But can you speak to that and also speak to any other perhaps side benefits a participant participating in this program can gain? And looking at the 150 or so businesses that have graduated, can you at least share some of those experiences?
Sure. Good question. There are some benefits. So I've had businesses that have been looking for credit opportunities for their business. And that's why one of the areas of mentorship is access to capital. So if that business is looking for capital, first we want to really look at, are you in the position to get capital? And do you really need capital? I want to make sure I put the business in the right position to be able to get capital. The difference between my job and a credit officer or a commercial banker is I have the time to spend with the client to talk about these things and to really coach them on how to access capital. So that could be a benefit. Now, if it doesn't happen with Chase, I've been in this industry for 25 years. I know a lot of banks. I know a lot of bankers. I know a lot of CDFIs. So I'm not hindered by referring you to another organization if you need capital. So some of the other benefits, we do have a diverse supplier program at Chase. And one of the things that we encourage our mentees is to get certified. And we talk to them about certification, and they can actually get certified through Chase. So we do have that program. And if they want to get into our diverse supplier system, there's opportunities for them to do that as well. And then I spoke about, I have a mentee that is going to be spotlighted in an advertisement for Chase for Business. She didn't know that there was an opportunity for that. I nominated her business to be able to do that spot. She was up against other businesses that they were considering, and they decided to settle on her business because of her story. And every business has a story, and we're interested in your story. And that's one of the first things I talk about is what's your why and what's your story, because the passion that you have in your business really is going to dictate the success that you're going to have in your business. So there's a lot of opportunity. And I looked across the board, there's not a lot of banks that are deploying educational services like this. So mainly everybody on our team has over 20 years experience in banking in the financial industry. So, and most of us have come from different type of backgrounds, but most of it is traditional bank or CDFI background. So we really have been in the trenches with small businesses, especially minority-owned businesses.
I moved on to the next slide, but I do have another question. When I had an opportunity to take a look at this particular program, with respect to the information that is shared on your website, there is a wealth of information there, including some online classes. And I would imagine that a business that is participating directly in the program would have access to the online classes, but is that information available to someone who is just looking to enhance a certain aspect of their business? And can you share with the audience the website for your particular program?
Yes. So quick question, John. There are some virtual classes that clients can go on to our knowledge center. So they really only have to click on to chase.com/business and then go into our knowledge center, and there are some classes. We're building a library of virtual classes. So I believe we have 3 classes on there now. These classes are the same classes that we deploy to in our workshops to organizations that want to have these type of workshops. So it could be a workshop with power of capital, navigating cash flow, windows of opportunity, business 201. So the same educational courses that we deploy, any business owner can get those. Don't really have to be a part of this program. So there are a lot of resources. There's also a resource on our website called Credit Journey. Credit Journey helps clients improve their credit. It's actually an award-winning app. So I encourage people to go on chase.com/knowledge center, or our website is chase.com/business consultants. So when you go into that particular website, you will go into and you'll find additional information about our program. But then also we have what is called a briefing book. Our briefing book has QR codes on it where it will take you straight to our knowledge center. It'll take you straight to our website. And if anybody is interested in receiving a briefing book, just get in touch with John. I can always send over the briefing book to John, or they can get in touch with me, and I can send them a briefing book, and it'll give you additional information about our program.
I will be sharing with you a link, information on everyone who registered for this session, so you can perhaps share that information with them directly. And before I let you go on, well, let me let you finish, and then I'll ask the other question.
Okay, so in this last slide, I said earlier, our program is a national program, and our program is expanding. So right now we're in 21 cities, but we're expanding this program. So this year, 2024, we're going to hire 25 more people like me. It'll take our program or our department from 50 consultants to 75 consultants. So this is something that's not going away at Chase. They feel a need to deploy this educational services, which also means banking services. So one of the things that John said earlier is that one of the other benefits is that if you decide that you want to be a Chase customer, you can do so. Now, my responsibilities aren't actually selling the products. So I am coaching and mentoring the business owner, but I don't actually sell the products. Now I know about the products and I can talk about the products, but I don't actually sell them. So we have mentored more than 5,000 mentees to date. More than 2,000 graduated nationally in 2023. We have facilitated more than 1,200 events. So, and when I talk about events, we deploy educational workshops, and hopefully we can do so also with True Access Capital. So we have several workshops that we deploy. And we have our events, but the events are not just the workshops. They have events across the board. They bring in experts to talk to small businesses. So just like I said, we're having a really large event in Philadelphia in May. And that's going to have tremendous opportunity for some of our mentees and some of our graduates who are going to sit on panels. They're going to be there vending, and we're going to have fireside chats with small business experts and industry experts. And our event to date has impacted more than 105,000 event attendees in 2023. So our goal is to double that in 2024. And that's it. That's my presentation.
Alrighty. Hey, listen, before we let you go, there are some more questions in the chat. And by the way, if you have any questions for Nate, please, by all means, type them in the chat, and I'll also give you an opportunity to unmute yourself momentarily to ask. But Nate, JP Morgan Chase has committed over 30 billion with a billion dollars to address wealth inequality in the US. And I know that this program serves as one of the programs funded by this initiative. Can you speak to some of the other initiatives that fall underneath this umbrella?
Okay, yes. So affordable housing, home ownership, and financial health and entrepreneurship. So most of the 30 billion is going to be put into home ownership and affordable housing. So we're trying to connect with those organizations that are doing affordable housing.
Okay.
That could mean new market tax credits. That could mean those organizations that are trying to build affordable housing in their communities. So most of that's going to be deployed to, like I said, home ownership and affordable housing. Now, there has been 2 billion committed to business banking to do loans for underserved communities. So there is money out there for small businesses, but they're also, you're right, John, a lot of this resources have been put into our group to deploy also the financial resources, the financial educational resources, which, like I said earlier, it doesn't prohibit us to also work with other lenders. So in my experience, it's banks are the depository, but your bank is may not necessarily be your lender. So, but that's a discussion with the business owner. But also we have people that are called community managers. And what community managers here in Wilmington, his name is Darren Wilson. And what they're trying to do is connect with community groups, and they have an educational platform as well. So they're trying to deploy their educational resources, and some of the educational resources that they're deploying is credit workshops, personal credit workshops, cybersecurity workshops. So the other thing that I failed to mention is that we have a community room here in Wilmington, Delaware, in our branch on 9th and Market Street. In that community room, we have educational workshops all the time. So these resources are being put back into the community to help the community become more educated about financial resources.
Nate, I'm going to get to the questions that are in the chat, but just two final things from me. Number one, is there a limit on the number of businesses that you're recruiting from the Delaware area? And number two, for those of the businesses that are listening on the line that are interested in partnering, what is the best way to get that process started?
Okay, so there is no limit. I do carry a number of people in my portfolio. but I'm constantly graduating people out and constantly bringing people in. So the easiest way to get that started is just to send me an email and just let me know that you're interested in the program. What I do is I set up a introductory call with you. We meet, we talk about the program. If it's a good fit for you, if you're eligible, then I accept you into the program. Then our first session, what we try to do is I try to get to know the business, and we do a SWOT analysis on the business. That's a good way for us to get to know the business. And then that's also a good way to see what the weaknesses are, where the gaps are in the business. There lies where I can help you. So it's a very easy process, doesn't cost you anything. Like I said, the only thing it costs you is your time. Now, I can put my email address in the chat.
We'll make sure that
Uh,
everyone on the call gets your contact information. So don't worry about that. And if you're listening and you're wondering, one of the things you'll receive from me is a recording from today's session. You will get information regarding Chase for Business's website, so you can see some of the online classes and get more details relative to the information that Nate has shared with us with respect to this particular program. You'll get some information regarding our upcoming webinars, as well as links that you referenced in your presentation. So we'll take care of that for you. Chris.
Yeah, so you kind of already went through what does the client journey look like? That was one of the questions. One of the other questions is there any specific documentation that's required for participation?
No. I would have to onboard you if you're not a client, though. If you're not a client, the only information that I would need, I would need the name of your business, the official name, the legal name of your business, your tax ID number, your business contact information, address, your contact information, and your industry code, your next code. Reason why I need your industry code is because I send you information about your industry. So one of the things that we do is we try to educate you on your industry. And this is what they're doing in your industry. Are your matrix lined up with what other businesses are doing within your industry? Also, I would need the day, date, and time, the date, month, and year you started your business. So the other thing to that, though, is, and the reason why I don't need your SS4 form, or I don't need your articles of incorporation, but if you decide that you want to be a customer at Chase and I refer you to a banker, that's the information that they're going to ask you for to verify your profile that I already started on our banking system.
Gotcha.
So it's important that the information is accurate.
Got you. One of the other things that came in the chat was, could you repeat the website links that you said earlier? A couple of people said that the links weren't working.
Okay.
We'll make sure that the links are included in the email that I send out to everybody. So that way, all you have to do is click on it from the email that you received from me. And we'll make sure that all the links are appropriate and working for you in that regard.
Okay. And then with the final question from the chat is, are there clearly defined goals for this program? How are you measuring success of the program? And how much of the program is one-on-one coaching versus group setting?
Well, okay, so good question. So it's 100% one-on-one coaching. So there's no group setting, right? The only type of group setting that would be if you attended a workshop. If you attended a workshop that we're sponsoring, then that would be a group setting. How we measure success is we're measuring success through your success. Is your business, through our mentorship, has your business increased, right? So we're a diverse business segment, but we're coaching for impact. We're trying to make an impact on your business, and we're measuring impact by your success in your business. Is your business growing? Did your business get certified? Did your business get a grant? Did we help you get a grant? Did your business get a loan or a business credit card? We're trying, even if I'm referring you to, say, if I'm referring you to True Access Capital for CDFI to get a loan, we're also measuring that as well. So it's not just internal measurements, it's also what we can do and the resource that we can provide on the outside as well that we measure.
Okay. If there's any more questions, please put them in the chat. Also, for those of you who are still here, I added a link for a post-workshop survey. We ask you to complete that just so that we can kind of know who's in the room, kind of get a better feel for what some of the businesses are and what some of the needs are so that we can help to better serve you. So if you could just take a second and fill out that post survey before we end this webinar, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Okay. Chris, let me see if I can bring this up. I brought up one of the websites that was referenced during the course of the presentation, and it talks about this initiative. It references some of the online classes and some of the other pertinent information. Here are the on-demand class links. And like I said, you'll have copies of all of these links coming from an email directly from me so that you can take advantage of everything that we kind of talked about here. And it does have the registration. Nate, I'm assuming this is the registration portal for business looking to participate in the program that is being.
It is, but
Okay.
that actually is our landing page. It goes to our national.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody local here in Delaware, they should just contact me directly.
Okay, and we'll make sure that we include your contact information in the email so they can reach out to you directly. Let's see. If you have any other questions, we're going to ask you to kind of unmute and ask the questions directly to. Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say that, so one of the questions was, I guess in reference to the reason for not supporting businesses in their first 2 years, is it because that's the time when they're most likely to fail?
It's just not our niche. I'm not going to say that's not the time. Actually, if you last at more than 5 years, then then you're out of the woods. So if I'm looking at SBA standards, it would be 5 years, but it's just not something that we do. But the educational resources that we provide online, anybody could take those, those virtual classes. You could be a startup and take those classes. If you hear of any of our workshops that we will deploy here in Delaware, in Wilmington, you should sign up and you should come to a workshop. So that doesn't prohibit anybody or any business to come to one of our workshops. It's just we just don't do startups.
Okay. There is Samara. You raised your hand. You have a question. Can you unmute and ask your question directly?
Yes, I was just going to, it really wasn't a question. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
It really wasn't a question. It was just a comment. So for people that are startups, and one of the reasons why I attended the webinar, I'm a consultant with the Small Business Development Center. So for all the folks that are in the startup space, that are not quite ready for this program, while you are, trying to get yourself together financially, process-wise, you can definitely reach out to Small Business Development Center. You can request me as your counselor, and I'll be more than happy to help you while you're preparing, to get yourself ready to participate in a program like this.
Well, thank you very much, Samira. Are there any other questions? You can unmute your mic and ask your question. Any other questions? Okay, I just do have one final reminder that I would like to share with everyone. I mentioned very early in the presentation that one of the things that we are doing is that we are hosting a procurement fair. It's the New Markets Opportunity Procurement Fair. It will be held on April 16th at the Wilmington Library, and we'll make sure that you get information regarding the location and everything else. But what we do here is we invite officials from prominent private industry, federal, state, and local governments, and we ask them to share pertinent information with you. And some of that information includes who they are and what they do, what are the typical products and services that they buy on an annual basis that that way you can determine if they're going to be a future customer of yours. We ask them for the benefit of those of you who are new, what are some of the best practices for you as a new business that never done business with these organizations? What are some of the best practices to help you engage with those organizations? We ask them to share with you their vendor outreach as well as their supplier diversity program initiatives, so that way you can see if any certifications or any of those benefits can help. But more importantly, we ask them to share what are some of the upcoming procurement opportunities that are scheduled to be released that are going out to small businesses. And that way, once you see the opportunities that are upcoming, and if it's in your industry, you can perhaps go out and pursue them. This is free of charge. It's going to be held at the Wilmington Library. And the Wilmington Library is located at 10 East 10th Street. It's on April 16th. Starts at 8:30 and it runs to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll have anywhere between 20 and 30 different organizations just providing information on best practices to do business with those organizations. And again, you'll receive literature coming from us directly explaining how to register and take advantage of that upcoming workshop. Let's see. Chris, you have anything else before we let everybody go? And this is your final opportunity to type a message in the chat or unmute your line. Chris?
Yeah, it doesn't look like we have one more question from the chat. It says, is Tamara from the Delaware Small Business? And if so, what is the location? Samira?
Samira, you still on the line?
Yes, I'm still here. Yes, I'm with I meet with all clients virtually, so all over Delaware. So we're with a small business development center, and we work with True Access Capital. We get people ready for these type of programs all the time for startup businesses.
And I will make sure that I include information on how to connect with the Small Business Development Center in the email. I should also mention that True Access Capital also is a small business resource provider. We have the Women's Business Center, and the Women's Business Center is funded in part by the U.S. Small Business Administration, similar to the Small Business Development Center. And both of our organizations are responsible for providing free consultation, free one-on-one consultation, free classroom trainings, and that will definitely help you in terms of growing your business and development. And I'll be sure to include links to both websites in the email that you receive from us, so you can reach out for help in the event that you're not ready or do not meet the preliminary eligibility criteria for Chase for Businesses program. Are there any other questions from the audience? Righty. I'm going to say thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule today. We will be sending, again, the information that we promised. We hope that the information that you learned today was helpful and will be informative to you. We hope that if you decide to take advantage of this particular opportunity, I want to wish you the best of luck, and I will be sending you a whole bunch of information that will help you make that decision. And we will talk to you again next month. We'll be sharing information on our upcoming webinar for the month of March and information regarding the procurement fair. So thanks again for joining us today.
Before we get out of here real quick, I just wanted to remind everyone, if you could take a second to look at that post-workshop survey. And we can also include that in the email, but we definitely want to get as much information from the businesses as possible so we can make sure that we're cultivating and curating this program to best meet you guys' needs.
Thank you, Chris. Awesome. And again, thank you very much for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your winter wonderland day. See ya.
Thank you.